Yvonne. I want to thank Gilbert. You know, we have been working very closely with the Algiers Council of Presidents. It's really a great way for us to be able to get information out from the perspective of both the council and administration. And so many of you have contacted our office. We are very appreciative of that. And we knew that we needed to get everybody together as soon as we could safely to really have this conversation and have the administration come up and give y'all an example of what they're doing and why. So that's really why we're all here tonight, to listen and to also hear your feedback. So please, if you do have feedback, fill out the cards. And Mary from my team is also here. So while y'all are here, if you also have any other concerns or issues that are not related but are related to Algiers, Mary, would you please stand up? Mary is my constituent services director, and she'll also, if y'all have any other questions or comments, or if you want to write something down, please bring to us. So I also want to use this opportunity to make sure that if there's anything else that we can address, we will. I also want to thank all those other people out here that worked with us over the weekend with our Algiers Clean Sweep. It was amazing. I just want to thank all the volunteers who did that and Algiers Development Foundation. It was very, very successful, and we're going to keep doing this every quarter, along with other issues. So with that, I really hope this will be a good, robust conversation, an explanation, and I hope that we all get a good amount of feedback. So thank you all for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilmember Palmer. And so now I'd like to introduce Ms. Laura Bryant, who is Director of the Office of Transportation for the Mayor.
We're excited about what's to come, and if we need to make tweaks and changes, we can do that. So we're here to answer questions, we're really here to listen, we understand we need to refine our processes. I appreciate your patience with us, and I really would like for this to be a respectful dialogue. So we're here to answer your questions. Shall I introduce the rest of the team? So I'm sorry. I'm also here with several of my colleagues. We have Josh Hartley, who's the director of the Department of Public Works, who was just recently named the director. We have Jennifer Ruley, who is the program manager for this program and the mobility and safety coordinator. Dan Jontris is from the Office of Transportation as well. We have Alan Ural, who's the chief traffic engineer, who oversees all of these plans. And Allison Cormier, who is a great liaison. She has worked tirelessly to make sure your voices are heard. And David Simmons, who works in communications for us. I think we also have Art Walton, who is the director of intergovernmental relations. But I'll give the mic to Josh for now, and then we'll, I guess, move into Q&A. Is that right, Yvonne?
All right, thank you, Laura. As Laura mentioned, my name is Josh Harte. I'm the acting director for the Department of Public Works. With me tonight from DPW is Jennifer Rowley. She is the mobility and lead engineer for the Mobility program with Public Works. We also have Alan Ural, mentioned before. He's our chief traffic engineer with Public Works, who can answer any questions that you may have about traffic and internet in this program. So, and thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight and answer any questions that you may have. First and foremost, I want to mention to you so we recognize that there are challenges with this program, and that's why we are here tonight. My apologies. So we know that during the program, there was not enough public outreach that was given. During the construction meetings, they were held a long time ago. Very recently, and there's a large time gap in between that. We acknowledge that. During construction, we know that there have been things that could also have been improved, run smoother and run quicker. We also acknowledge that. And so we want to do better, and that is why we are here tonight. We want to listen to your concerns. We want to answer your questions that you have, and to learn from that and moving forward, being able to apply those lessons to the next quarters that come up. So with that said, I think without wasting more time, I want to open this up to the floor for questions and answers.
Can't hear you.
So the question was, what was the public process for these projects? That's the question?
Yes.
When was the question? When? Okay. As Laura mentioned, we went through a whole citywide planning. Stand up. I can see everyone. We went through an extensive planning process in 2019 that kicked off in April, and one of the first meetings we had was in Algiers at the regional library. And that was to get people to provide information on where routes made sense, where people were connecting to, and what they liked or didn't like around bicycling in their neighborhoods or wherever they bicycle. We also made an attempt to get information from people who aren't bicyclists and the kind of things that they want to see in their streets and what would work for them, so we know that it has to work for everyone. Later, we came back in August of 2019, and we presented to people what we came up with. Citywide bike routes, citywide. We made a second meeting was held here at the regional library to show people what we heard and what we came up with. And so that was an opportunity to provide feedback. And then we moved into early construction phase, which involves like a design process. So later in August, we held two conceptual design meetings. This is very early in the design phase, where we go through all of the projects. People can look at the plans on a table. At that point, we were having in-person meetings, and we held two meetings in different neighborhoods. So one was in, I want to say, Arthur Munday Center. The other one was at Holy Cross, right? So we wanted to make sure that we reached out. Algiers isn't one neighborhood; it's many neighborhoods. And so we did receive feedback on the design. We gave people an opportunity to tell us what we liked, don't like, that sort of thing. Based on that, we came back, and by that time, COVID had happened around, like the shutdown happened in March or so. So in April, we had what was virtual meetings, which is consistent with what the city was doing at that time, virtual meetings. So prior to all of this, we had a meeting with the Algiers Neighborhood Presidents Council to say, hey, this project is coming up. Just want to give you some information, be aware of it. So there were some various informal mentions of the projects. So that just gives you an idea of the whole process, and then we also have ways that people can contact us if they have specific issues they wanted to address about the design or about the upcoming projects. So hopefully that answers.
Okay, another question, the bike lanes on that golf are not designed with homeowners in mind. Turns cannot always be made, especially if you have a large field.
That's right.
Any comments?
And I'd like to, our chief traffic engineer is also here, and I'll ask him to also comment if he wants to. In any of these project designs, what we go through is a series of reviews, and we look for whatever those common types of turn movements, and we make sure that we are designing to provide that access for those common types of turn movements. So delivery trucks, that's one thing, or even something like a school bus, or those kind of things where you see.
A fire truck?
Fire trucks, yes. So fire trucks are also. I'm sorry. Can I please talk? All right. So we look at all these movements, and we look at where we have to make adjustments in the geometry through the design process. If there is a reason why we don't catch something and we're in implementation, then we can adjust in the field. If there are any kind of issues that, for whatever reason, you think we did not catch, you can let us know, and we will go and include the concept.
Hold on a second. Let's finish. We have
So I
one
can't
question.
hear what everyone's yelling at me. So fire trucks. So their fire trucks are considered, however, they aren't the specific design vehicle that we look for, because there's a reason why fire trucks have to provide access over a different area.
Okay,
So
we have a lot of questions. You know, a lot of folks, well, that's why we're gonna go through all of them.
So I just want to let everyone know that we are coordinating with the fire department. We do coordinate with other agencies. Agencies coordinate with us. If they have an issue, they can bring it to our attention, and we also are proactive. We are proactive in asking them for feedback. I want to let you know this process does happen. You may not think that it happens. However, they know how to reach us. We reach out to them, and we coordinate.
Next question. Is the plan to reconfigure Holiday Drive in the same manner as Night Off? And how do we stop the reconfiguration of Holiday? What about down top? And also it's a truck route.
Yes, it
on
is.
Holiday Drive. That's a question that the folks have concerns with.
It's a main thoroughfare for trucks.
I will say that there is a proposal for a holiday, and that's available online. We have provided public meetings on holiday, as well as some of the other corridors. And we know that it is a truck route. We know that it is a non-top route as well, that there's a lot of activities that happen on holiday. We are aware of these issues as they come up. We make an attempt to address any kind of issues, but we are intending to provide a connected network, and safety is infused into this project. So when you see speeding vehicles, when you see crashes on your street, that's partly because of the design of the street is creating an environment where people can see. So what we are trying to do is to make
Just in the street, we have more accidents.
Next question. The next question is, has there been a study on the number of bikes that use the bike lanes?
All right, so we're working with the University of New Orleans Transportation Institute. They're collecting data
That's fucking shit.
They're collecting data of use of prior to construction, and they will continue doing those after the projects are constructed, so that we can observe and document the changes that are happening. The key thing is we're providing infrastructure for people, the residents of the city that don't have transportation options right now. Don't have access to a car. We need to create transportation and that's all.
Next question. Is there a public notice prior to the construction, start of construction?
What's the data, man? You never answer the question. What's the data? You never answer the question.
Yes, a postcard was sent out to people along the corridor.
I'm about to get a mobile home and you stay there for a week and you tell me how many bikes.
We still need the question.
Beat around the question, never answer. Welcome to politics.
That's all we have. Let's hold up. Let's finish this. Why did the police write tickets after hours when most of the cars were caught less than 24 hours before this meeting? There were tickets issued. What street was it? MacArthur. Tickets written on MacArthur.
So I can speak to that. DPW did not issue those tickets. That was actually NOPD, bicycle division, I believe, that issued those parking tickets. We do plan, the parking division, DPW does plan to actually come here this week and next to start verbally telling people that are parked in the biking lane that they need to be out of that lane. So no tickets are actually going to be issued. It's just going to be a verbal warning as a courtesy notice to make sure that that ticket is not issued.
There you go. No nonsense from this guy.
Nobody wants to hear from you, Chris.
You want to run for office too, huh?
And we do, however, issue warnings for parking in bike lanes. We have been informed that it was not for the district officer. We have been informed that it was not. NOPD does not issue parking tickets. We have a separate entity in the city, parking commission, meter maids. They may have, don't know if it was them, but NOPD does not issue. Okay? And we do, however, issue warnings as we patrol around, telling people not to park right. Okay?
Alright, okay. Real quick, that was not, we all appreciate, it's my understanding that these bike lanes are not completed, is that correct? Yes?
That's
Okay.
right.
Alright, so it's, I think that we can all agree that it's egregious that anybody gets a ticket, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so whoever got tickets, please make sure that my office is aware of it, and I'm gonna officially request that these are all waived, so, because this is not acceptable. Alright, so just let's make sure.
better. Okay, how much did the reconfiguration of MacArthur cost? And could that money have been used for other
Great repair.
Okay, I don't have the specific information for MacArthur, but I know that we put $3.7 million into road repairs in Algiers on these projects. So we repaired the roads before we put any kind of striping. Means a smoother ride for everyone, and also we could address potholes, anything that was wrong with the street.
Again, allow for
The bike improvements, including holiday, amounted to about $1.9 million.
All right, next question. How is the city going to address new potholes emerging in the only driving lane?
I'm assuming that's specific to a MacArthur question. Or decision. So Jennifer mentioned most of these projects in Algiers, we do road repairs as part of these improvements. So we have our engineering and maintenance divisions within Public Works issue that work out prior to the striping and the flex modes that are placed for the bike facilities. So any new ones that are forming, if there's any specific requests, we can certainly look into that and make sure we do some additional repairs for that.
Okay, in this neighborhood, about 90%, almost like in this neighborhood, about 90% oppose these changes. Will these changes revert back to what was there?
Okay. So there's a citation of 90% that I have not seen any kind of official survey that says the 90% oppose. I would say in our experience, what we experience when we do put in these kind of changes into a roadway is that there's usually about 25% of people that are really gung-ho and really love the work. And there's about 25% of the people who really hate the work and want us to change everything and don't do the work. And then there's 50% of people who are in the middle, they're on the fence, they're waiting to see. And the survey is that people have changed their behaviors as they're adjusting to the government. This is normal. It normally happens over 3 to 4 weeks in our experience.
One more.
We're not changing the bike lanes. We're listening to you.
Hold a second. Let's finish. Let's finish this. Let's finish. Is this taxpayers' dollars who paid for this? And why did we vote on it?
So both the road repairs that were done and these improvements, yes, they were local bond funding that had been allocated to them.
Let's hold a second. Can the city clarify issues that were identified and addressed before construction begins? How did the city avoid issues in Algiers that may have come to your attention while in the planning phases? Why did we vote? Why did we vote? I'm not holding anything back, man. We're just trying to go through the questions. The question was, why did we vote?
Why we didn't vote?
Okay, let's finish.
Anybody bringing a card
You
out?
can finish.
Can you repeat the question?
Can Can the city clarify issues? Another question. Okay, we go back to it. Is the taxpayers' dollar paid for this, and why did we vote? That's
Same
right.
taxes being taken off our property.
I'm sorry?
The same tax being taken off our property.
It's bond money, is that what you said?
Yes.
And bond money is actually, is voted on to use bond money, is lumped in, it's lumped into infrastructure dollars, right? And so, it's fine, but I mean, obviously nobody votes on per exact line item, it goes within an infrastructure like roads, streets, those types of things.
Use it for the streets. Should have been considered. Fix the streets in my neighborhood.
On the mediums.
We get that question a lot. We know that there are some paths on neutral grounds around the city, but the neutral ground on MacArthur gets to be about 20 feet wide, and there are large mature oak trees as well on that median. So fitting a two-way bike lane on the median becomes almost impossible when you have such narrow width and trees. So we made the decision that that wasn't the best option for MacArthur. However, we did install something like that on a wider median on Hall Boulevard. So when it is the perfect solution, we look at it as an option, and then when there are other constraints, then we look at other options. We don't have bikes.
Will this be done to St. Charles Island?
I will tell you that there is a blueprint for the city. You can look at the blueprint online. It says where different types of facilities are recommended for type of facility. Protected bike lanes are recommended for St. Charles Avenue. It's just that we don't have a project there right now.
Okay, one more.
Street poles.
Are bike riders required to register their bikes and maintain insurance?
No, the city of New Orleans does not require that a bicycle be registered. That's an optional thing that owners of a bicycle can do. But all the rules of the road, the rights and responsibilities that apply to drivers apply to people operating bikes, just the same. That's Louisiana law. Yes, it is. That's the law. Trust me.
Protection bike lanes on Holiday and Marvin are already filling up with road debris, trash after a couple of months. The barriers prevent any type of street sweepers from accessing them or the catch basins. If they are not periodically cleaned and maintained, there will be uses for bike riders affected around the drainage area. What is the city's plan for maintaining and cleaning protected bike lanes?
All right, so we do actually have a piece of equipment that we purchased. We're calling it a little sweepy. Again, right now we just have one that we have purchased. But its sole purpose is going to be exactly what that question just was: is to clean and sweep bike facilities, especially the ones with flex roads where normal back trucks cannot get to. That will also include cleaning the catch basins in the same facilities.
Okay. Bike lanes are already in place and could have been expanded. The dividers are on eyesore and it devalues the homes on MacArthur. At night, it has a strobe effect and it looks like an airport landing strip. The non-bike lane in MacArthur does not justify this configuration or taking away street parking from residents. That's the comments from the folks on MacArthur. They're concerned about the white poles. I say it looks like a landing strip on Mac Harte at night. Everybody been to the neighborhood at night to see how it looks?
Yeah, so we have heard a lot of people comment.
Let them speak, son. Let them speak. Let them speak.
We have heard a lot of comments about the flex bus, especially on Mark Arthur. We haven't heard as many comments like this on some of our other projects where we have more parking. And so I think the flex bus are probably less visible on some of the other streets like Allegiant Fields and so forth. But what I would say is that where we feel like we can reduce the amount of flex posts, we're looking at how we can maybe reduce the frequency. But please realize that the purpose of the flex post is to provide that delineation between the bike lane and the travel lane that you don't get in a traditional bike lane. For anybody who's ridden a traditional bike lane, you know that there's always that threat. You just have a line between you and that car. So these facilities provide greater separation and more people feel comfortable using them. This is not just people in law.
Let's hold a second.
So the flex posts provide a means by which to delineate the bike lane from cars parking, from cars driving. So we're looking at how we can potentially reduce the frequency, which would reduce some of that clutter. We're also looking at major intersections where we had to use a lot of flex posts because of the amount of space, and looking at how we can maybe convert to some sort of curved grass area so that you would have real curved grass.
No.
Let's hold up 1 second. Let's hold a second. Let's take a vote on this. How many folks would like to see the poles removed off of Mac Harte? Raise your hand. So this is what we have on the west end. I've never seen it. Let's hold 1 second. I think we really need to sit down with the residents again. We need to do it. I've never seen a turnout. And anytime there's a turnout, that's a problem. We're gonna move on to the rest of the questions. We're gonna address it, but we gotta be respectful, and we gotta get it done. I agree, but we're not gonna do the same. We don't do it.
You can ask how we're going to affect our home in the future.
Who's the staff of the Complete Streets in New Orleans? That's the question.
That's me, Jennifer Boulay, Josh, Alan, Laura, and Alice Harte and Roberts. We're City of New Orleans. We all live in New Orleans.
If you look at the notice, excuse me.
I grew up in Algiers, and I went to this school. I graduated this school. So, Algiers is important to me.
People are coming up and asking why we haven't answered their questions, and we have a stack of questions, and we need to be able to get through it. You may not like all the answers, but tonight the purpose is to get information so we can follow up and see what we can do with the situation. Okay.
Okay. Got one more question. The question is why weren't the residential streets fixed before deciding to construct pipelines?
Speaking to the side streets, we still do have FEMA joint infrastructure programs that are still coming to this neighborhood. We also have the new bond program that's coming out that was voted on last year that is going to focus in on Algiers as well. Actually, we also have an Algiers stormwater study that was actually funded by council that is going to look at stormwater improvements where that needs to be to utilize the new bond money in Algiers. So while you may not see that right now, that work is coming to this area.
The next question is, how are homeowners protected from being robbed or hit when cars are parked so far from the driveways? You must get out of their cars to walk to the county. Does this make sense? This is a resident on McAuliffe.
I would ask NOPD to essentially speak to that one.
That's all right. Let's finish these questions. We're really involved. That's not the wrong question. We just can't read some of them, so we're going to put them off to the side. Try to manage. If this project is already underway, what tangible outcomes can the community expect?
So we are anticipating that we will take the feedback that we got tonight and we will discuss what kind of alternatives we may have to work with or options moving forward. As far as the tangible outcomes, you will now be able to more easily cross the street when you're walking. You will see the benefits of a calmer street when you're
That's all I'm saying.
This has been our experience on every project we worked on involving our
That's all.
So we don't expect a different outcome from MacArthur. However, we are open to hearing what your experience is and
Will the bike lanes decrease my property value on my street? On my car?
So, I'm not a property value expert. However, I can tell you that I know of no studies that...
Let's hold 1 second. Let's hold 1 second. Let's hold 1 second. Let her finish.
Again, I am not a real estate expert. However, I can tell you that that I know of no studies that show a negative value once these types of projects go in. I am only familiar with studies that actually show an increase in value. And there's plenty of those studies.
Okay, let's hold on. After speaking to some realtors, some of them advertising our newsletter, their concern is MacArthur would be a problem on property values. If a person moved, if a resident moved there 2 months ago, before this bike lane went there, and all of a sudden now they're in the middle of a mess. They had no intention, they weren't warned that it was coming. So we have that situation. So we just have one question. Could we go back and start over on this?
Valid property values. That's something that can be looked at because people need to know if that's going to have an effect on them. So we do want to move on to the other questions, but that's something that we need to follow up on. Okay? So we had multiple questions that we have multiple questions on the cards. And I think someone said that our next door firefighters had mentioned problems with making the turns. So can you address that, and can we let them answer? Okay.
I understand that there are concerns about emergency vehicles being able to make their way to their destination, and then for those large fire trucks. We know that we do have streets in the city where you have one lane of travel and you have a heavy parking demand, so there's limited access. But in these cases, and you know, some of them do have bike
On the French form.
yeah, there's lots of streets like that. So what happens is, I can run an officer and we'll be here all night. So what I want to say is that when emergency vehicles do come through, people have a tendency to move to side streets or to give a parking space for them. And that's generally how the emergency function works. When we talk with the fire department or we talk with EMS, so that when the fire truck comes through, they can roll over the flex post. It gives them that flexibility.
Maybe it was driving that truck that couldn't find a parked car.
It's difficult to say, nonetheless, that people don't always move out the way first responders. And sincerely, to restrict it to one lane, whether or not people can move over to the shoulder where it's now parked.
Don't make sense.
I promise you, as somebody who's been a first responder for 20 years, I love all citizens, but not everybody conducts themselves in a manner which is appropriate to us to actually respond. So in those cases, I know y'all have your stats and stuff, but those stats don't apply to real life.
Nelson has been in communication with us and has been coordinating on any kind of issues that he wants to bring to our attention. It is not our knowledge that any issues have come to us that the fire department wants to address. The fire department knows how to reach public works, we are all city government. So I'm just going to let you know, sir, that reach out to your supervisor if you have a concern, and we can address it.
Okay, we have another comment, not a question really. It says, as a new resident to the area, we love using the bike lanes with our young children. We feel safe and cared for. We love the environmental and thoughtful benefits about that. Okay, we want to give everybody's comment a chance to be aired, okay? All right. So next question is, there's an issue with morning and evening rush hour traffic. How is that going to be looked at and addressed?
All right, I guess the question would be where exactly? We know Holly and the Gulf's been brought up to us, and we've been looking at that extensively. If there's other locations, we need to know. As far as morning rush hour, we've seen no issues at all out there in Holly and the Gulf. Just letting you know. I have contacts, man. Thank you. But anyway, we are still looking at the evening. I left there, come to the meeting actually, watching it again. I'm seeing rush hour traffic. I'm not seeing extensive backups.
We still have schools that's not in here.
So, as I said before, that's a very general question. If you have exactly locations you want to look at, please let us know.
We're not back in yet.
Okay, so we need to report when those occur. Residents are having difficulty backing out of their driveways. And there are also dangers of people opening their doors to exit vehicles. How is the city addressing this issue?